Valari sat alone in the corner of the garden. The wind moved gently through the blue leaves, but she didn't feel it. Her legs had been useless for over 10 years. The hoverchair made no sound as it floated slightly above the grass. She stared at the sky, the same way she did every day. Other aliens walked past her. Some glanced at her with pity. Others didn't look at her at all. To them, she was just an old story, a war victim, forgotten by time. Once she had been strong, brave, and full of fire. Now she was just there. Valari didn't cry anymore. She had no tears left. Then one day, something changed. A new visitor of another planet. A human. He was tall, wore old leather boots, and had tired eyes like he had seen too much war. His name was Jack. He wasn't like the others. Jack walked slowly through the garden, looking at everything with curiosity. He stopped when he saw Valari. For a moment he just stood there, watching her. She noticed him but quickly looked away. She thought he would pass like everyone else, but he didn't. He walked toward her, quiet steps, calm eyes, no fear, no pity. Valari's hands gripped the armrests of her chair. She wasn't used to strangers coming this close. Her voice was sharp and cold. "What do you want, human?" she asked. Jack didn't speak right away. He just knelt beside her, looking into her eyes. Valari frowned. "Are you mocking me?" Jack shook his head. "No, I see something." "What?" "Pain," he said softly, "and strength." "You're not broken, Valari." She stared at him. "You know my name?" "I asked around," Jack said. "The people here call you the girl in the chair." "I wanted to know your real name." Valari didn't know how to respond. No one had used her name in years. Jack reached into his bag and pulled out a small metal object. It looked like a mechanical spider moving its tiny legs. "This," he said, "is something I built. A small part of something bigger." "What is it?" "A test, a tool, a dream." She rolled her eyes. "Another crazy inventor." Jack smiled. "Maybe, but I fix broken things. That's what I do." Valari laughed bitterly. "Do you see this?" She pointed to her legs. "This isn't just broken, it's destroyed. No one can fix it." Jack leaned closer. "Maybe not your legs. But what if you could walk again, with something new?" Valari froze. Her heart beat faster. No one had ever said that to her, not in 10 years. "You're lying." "I'm not," Jack said. "I've studied alien bodies. And I've worked with machines all my life. I believe I can build something. Something that connects to your nerves, robotic legs, controlled by your brain." Valari stared at him. She wanted to believe, but fear held her back. "Why would you help me?" she whispered. "You don't even know me." Jack looked at her seriously. "Because I've been broken too. And someone helped me when I thought I was nothing. Now, it's my turn." A long silence followed. Valari looked down at her hands, then at her useless legs. "You think I can walk again?" she asked. Jack nodded. "I don't just think it. I want to prove it." She looked into his eyes. For the first time in years, someone wasn't looking down at her. They were looking with her. "Show me," she said. Jack stood up and offered his hand. "Not yet, but soon. I'll need time, tools, and your trust." Valari didn't take his hand, but she nodded. "Then start building, human." As Jack walked away, Valari sat quietly. Her heart was beating fast. Something inside her had changed. Hope. A small soft feeling she hadn't felt in years. From the shadows, a group of alien elites watched. They whispered among themselves, "The human is interfering. If she walks again, our lies will be exposed." But Valari didn't see them. She was too busy watching Jack disappear around the corner, still holding that strange little machine in his hand. And for the first time in a decade, she felt like she might not be trapped forever. Valari didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, her hover chair parked quietly beside her, But her mind was loud. A human, a stranger, talking about robotic legs. Like it was possible. Why would he even care? No one else had not in over 10 years. The next morning, she rolled into the outer yard of the old house where she lived. The metal was cold under her hands. Her legs were still useless, still thin and lifeless like old branches. She kept her eyes low, trying to ignore the stares of passing aliens. Then she saw him. Jack was already there, sitting cross-legged on the ground near the garden wall. His coat was off, his sleeves rolled up. Wires and small machines lay all around him. She blinked. "You're back," she said, more surprised than she wanted to sound. Jack looked up with a smile. "I said I would be." Valari moved her chair closer, watching his hands as they worked fast-cutting wires, attaching tiny plates, testing circuits. His fingers were rough, but his touch was gentle. "What are you doing?" "Building your future," Jack said simply. "One screw at a time." She frowned. "You talk like it's easy." Jack looked at her, and his voice turned serious. "It's not." "But it's possible." Valari folded her arms. "No one on this planet has ever said that to me. They said I should be grateful to be alive, that I should sit quietly and not make things harder for others." Jack picked up a small silver chip, no larger than her fingernail. "They didn't want you to stand," he said, "because if you stood, you'd remind them how much they failed you." Valari stared at him. He wasn't from her world, but he understood more than anyone here. After some silence, she asked, "Why are you helping me, really? Is this some kind of charity thing?" Jack chuckled and shook his head. "No, I hate charity." "Then what?" Jack paused, then said something strange. "You remind me of someone I lost." Valari felt a small chill. "Someone you loved?" Jack didn't answer for a moment. "Yes, and she died. Thinking she was useless. I couldn't save her. But maybe, just maybe, I can save you." Valari looked away. The air felt heavy. Her voice came out softer this time. "I'm not her, Jack. I know," he said. "But you matter too." Suddenly, a sharp voice broke the quiet. "What is this? Human tricks?" An alien stepped forward. He wore the symbol of the Healing Guild, the ones who once denied Valari treatment. His face was full of fake kindness and hidden anger. "You shouldn't give her false hope," the alien said coldly. "It's dangerous." Valari narrowed her eyes. "Dangerous to whom?" The guild member ignored her and looked at Jack. "Leave her alone. Go back to your planet." Jack stood up slowly. "You're afraid." The alien stiffened. "Afraid?" Jack stepped closer. "You couldn't fix her, now I might. And that makes you small." The alien hissed. "If you continue, there will be consequences," Jack smirked. "Then you better make sure I fail." The alien stormed off, his cloak sweeping the ground. Valari watched him go, her jaw tight. "I hate them," she said quietly. "They act like they own my body." Jack turned to her and knelt again. "They don't. You do. You always did." She looked at him carefully. "What now?" Jack stood and reached into his coat. He pulled out a flat, black box and opened it. Inside were two sleek metal legs, half-built, full of wires, tiny joints, and shining steel muscles. Valari's eyes widened. "These," she breathed. "They're prototype limbs," Jack said. "I built them for someone else. But she died before she could use them." Valari stared at the legs. Continued. "With some changes, they can fit your body. But I'll need to scan your spine, your nervous system. It might hurt." Valari took a deep breath. "I've lived with pain for 10 years. I can survive a little more," Jack smiled. "Good, then we start tonight." As the sun began to set, a small drone flew above them, recording everything silently. In a dark chamber far away, alien leaders watched the footage. "She's cooperating with the human," one of them growled. If she walks again, said another, the people will start asking questions about us, about the guild. We cannot allow this. Then stop them, the leader hissed. Now. Back at the garden, Jack and Villari sat quietly beside the robotic legs. Villari touched one of the cold steel joints. I don't know if this will work, she said. Jack replied softly, I do. And as the first stars appeared in the sky, for the first time in her life, Villari didn't feel like a broken chair in a forgotten corner. She felt seen. Villari clenched the arms of her hover chair. You're sure this won't kill me? She asked, half joking. Jack looked into her eyes from the side. No, I'm not sure. Her mouth tightened, but she didn't look away. Jack continued gently, it might hurt. A lot. Your nerves have been silent for 10 years. We're waking them up. Villari nodded once. Then let them scream. He pressed a small button. The scanner buzzed. Then shock. Ira gasped sharply. It felt like ice and fire crawling up her back at the same time. Her fingers twitched. Her chest heaved. For the first time in a decade, her lower body responded. Her legs didn't move, but they felt something. A tiny spark. A forgotten connection. She tried to breathe, but her throat trembled. Stop? Jack asked quickly. No, she whispered through clenched teeth. Keep going. For the next few minutes, Jack mapped her entire spine and nervous system. Every connection, every dead end, every forgotten signal. The pain was deep but deeper. Still was the hope. When it was done, Villari leaned back, drenched in sweat. Her eyes were wet, but not from weakness. She had felt something, truly felt. Jack handed her a towel. You were amazing, she scoffed. I screamed. He smiled. That's what alive people do. Hours passed. Jack adjusted the robotic legs with new data. He reshaped the joints, rerouted the nerve link pathways, and fine-tuned the response sensors. Villari watched him silently. He didn't move like a scientist. He moved like someone fixing something he loved. Finally, he turned toward her. It's time, he said. He brought the metal legs to her. They were sleek, powerful, and humming with soft energy. She looked at them, not with fear this time, but with wonder. They don't feel like mine, she said quietly. Jack knelt beside her. They won't, not yet. But if we connect them right, they will answer only to you. Villari nodded. Jack opened the side panel of the hover chair. Metal arms lifted her gently, supporting her body. He slid the robotic legs into place, locking them onto the connectors along her hips and spine. When he activated them, the room went silent. A low hum filled the air. Can you feel them? Jack asked softly. Villari closed her eyes. Then, yes, she whispered. There. She looked down. The legs didn't move, but they were no longer foreign. They felt like waiting tools, like weapons ready to obey. Jack moved behind her and pressed another button. Now try to stand. Villari hesitated. She had dreamed of this moment before. Many times, but dreams were cruel. They always ended with her falling, screaming, or waking up broken again. But now this was real. She grabbed the bars beside her. Her arms shook. The legs responded slowly. She pushed. Her breath caught. The chair tilted back, and then she stood. It wasn't perfect. Her knees wobbled. Her weight shifted dangerously. She grabbed Jack's shoulder for balance, but she was up, on her feet, taller than she had been in a decade. Villari laughed, but it sounded strange, almost like a cry. Jack steadied her. His voice was low but proud. You did it. Villari looked at her hands, trembling in the air. No chair, no pity. Just legs. And the ground beneath her feet. I forgot how high the world looks, she whispered. Just then, a sharp crash echoed from above. Jack's head turned fast. Someone had broken in. He rushed to the monitors. I leaned on the wall, watching with wide eyes. The screen showed armored alien guards entering the building. The guild's enforcers. They're here already? Jack cursed. Valari's voice was weak. What do they want? Jack stared at her. They want to break your legs before you learn how to run. He moved fast, grabbing tools, wiping data, sealing compartments. Valari tried to walk but stumbled. Jack caught her again. You're not ready yet, he said. I will be, she growled. Just buy me time. The door shook under a heavy blow. Valari clenched her new legs, heart racing. Jack handed her a small device. Press this if I fall. It will shut down everything. Valari grabbed his arm. No, we finish this, together. Outside, the guards loaded their stun rifles out inside. A once broken alien woman stood on her feet for the first time in a decade alive, shaking, and finally ready to fight for her right to stand. Asterisk. The door exploded inward. A wave of smoke and dust hit the lab like a hammer. Valari coughed, stumbling slightly on her new legs. They held her but barely. Jack pulled her behind a metal table as armored guards stormed in. The alien enforcers wore black visors, pulse rifles in hand. Their armor bore the mark of the Healing Guild, the same people who once told Valari her injury was untreatable. Jack cursed it under his breath. They came faster than I thought. Valari whispered. Then they're scared. Jack gave her a quick glance. Good, let's make them more scared. The guards searched the room like predators. One of them stepped forward, holding a glowing baton. No one moves. He barked. By order of the guild, this illegal human lab is shut down. Valari's body stiffened, her legs vibrating slightly. She wanted to speak, but her voice felt caught in her throat. Jack stood tall in front of her. She's not illegal, he said calmly. She's walking, the lead guard scoffed, with stolen tech. She's walking with hope, Jack snapped. And you want to erase that? Another guard aimed his weapon. Enough, step away from the female. Valari finally found her voice. She has a name. She shouted. The guards turned toward her. Their rifles lowered slightly in surprise. She took a step forward. Her balance shook, but she didn't fall. I'm Valari, daughter of Terrell, veteran of the border war, she said, voice louder now. And I am standing. The room fell silent. One guard muttered, "That's not possible." But it was. Everyone could see it. No chair. No support. Just a woman on robotic legs, trembling but upright. One step, then another. Valari walked slowly toward the guards. Every movement was shaky, but each step was louder than their threats. I was left to rot, she said. You all decided I wasn't worth fixing. She stopped inches from the lead guard. Her voice dropped to a growl. You don't fear Jack. You fear what I've become. The guard raised his baton but hesitated. Behind his visor, his eyes showed it clearly. Fear. Jack walked beside her, holding a data chip. This chip records everything, he said. Scans, installs. Every moment she stood on her own. If anything happens to her, this goes public. Every system, every planet. You can't stop the story now. The guards didn't move. The guild's lie was breaking. Valari could feel it. The silence broke when a voice echoed from a small communicator on the guard's belt. Fall back. Let them go. The guards looked confused, but followed the order. Within moments, they turned and disappeared into the smoke. When the door closed again, Valari dropped to her knees. Jack caught her before she hit the ground. Easy, he said. That was enough for one day. Valari laughed a tired, dry sound. I stood, she whispered, in front of them. You didn't just stand, Jack replied. You made them fall. Later that night, they sat near the lab's small heater. Valari's legs were disconnected, charging on a stand. Her body ached, but it was a good ache. An ache of effort, of life. Jack handed her a warm drink. You were incredible, he said. Var. I shook her head. I was scared. Jack looked at her. But you didn't run. I couldn't, she said with a small smile. Not yet, he chuckled. Soon. They both sat in silence, letting the moment sink in. Then Valari said, They'll come. Again. Yes, Jack agreed. But next time we'll be ready. Far away, in a high tower of glass and light, the guild's leaders sat around a glowing table. She stood, said one elder. She was supposed to be our example of failure. Said another. Now she's a symbol. She must be erased, the third said coldly. But a fourth elder, older than the rest, leaned forward. Too late. The people saw her. If we act now, we make her a martyr. Silence filled the room. Then the oldest. One whispered, We don't destroy her body. We destroy her spirit. Back in the lab, Valari sat staring at the robotic legs. They're not perfect, she said. Jack nodded. Neither am I. But I think, she said softly, I'm ready to try again tomorrow. Jack smiled, and I'll be right here. Asterisk, the morning air was quiet. Too quiet. Jack tightened the straps on Valari's new leg braces. Her robotic limbs had been improved overnight, lighter, faster, stronger. She was getting better at walking. Sometimes she even forgot to hold the wall. Valari stretched her fingers, breathing slowly. I want to try running today, she said. Jack raised an eyebrow. You're not ready for that. I wasn't ready to stand either, she replied with a grin. They walked together across the training yard. Small metal posts lined the ground. Jack's design to help her balance, dodge, and correct. 1 step, then 2. Then 10. Valari moved like a baby bird learning to fly, but each step had more strength than the last. Jack clapped. You're almost there. But Valari paused suddenly. Something was wrong. The wind shifted, and then gunfire. Laser blast tore into the dirt beside Jack's foot. He dove behind a crate, pulling Valari with him. From the rooftop, black-armored soldiers appeared. Guild marks. Heavy weapons. No mercy. They're not here to talk this time, Jack said, grabbing a small handheld shield. Valari's voice was wise. Low. They want to end this. He handed her a small device. Emergency override. If they take me, shut down the lab. Burn it. I'm not leaving you, she snapped. Jack looked her in the eyes. I didn't save you just to get you killed. He jumped from cover, drawing fire, sprinting toward the left wall. Jack! Valari shouted, trying to follow, but her legs shook. Too fast. Too much. Another shot hit the wall near her head. She ducked, her body trembling, not from fear, but from frustration. She slammed her fist against her leg. Move! And the leg obeyed. She stood up. Ran forward. Unsteady. Fast. Falling. But then catching herself. Jack reached a storage pod and threw open the lid. He grabbed a smoke bomb, pulled the pin, and tossed it into the center of the yard. Thick clouds covered the air. Valari dashed through it blindly, using her ears, her heart, anything to follow his voice. She found him crouched, bleeding from the shoulder. They shot you, Jack winced. Just a graze. She reached for him. We need to go now. They ran together through the side corridor. Valari stumbled once, but didn't fall. Jack's blood left a trail. The lab's alarms rang louder now. Auto defense systems failed. The guild was inside. They reached the final room where everything began. The robotic table, the memory core, the blueprint of her legs. Jack slammed his hand on the console. We can't let them take this. Valari pulled him toward the back hatch. We escape. We fight later. But Jack hesitated. I can't go, not yet. Someone has to set the core to burn. No, she said sharply, not you. Valari, you gave me legs. I'm not going to let you lose yours. She turned toward the wall, opened a hidden panel Jack had once shown her. Inside, a backup data chip, hidden behind a false pipe. She yanked it out and handed it to him. This is your work. Save it. He stared at her. Then nodded. Gunfire echoed down the hallway. They had seconds. Valari reached the final switch. Burn sequence in 60 seconds. The system said. They ran. She grabbed Jack, his arm around her shoulder. Her legs moved. Faster than ever before. Smooth. Powerful. A live dot as they burst into the open desert. Flames rose behind them. The lab collapsed. Jack stumbled, falling into the sand. Valari dropped beside him, shielding him with her body as the heat chased them. Then, silenced out only wind, Jack groaned. That was dramatic. Valari laughed breathlessly. You humans like making exits. He looked at her, bloodied but smiling. You ran, she nodded. I ran. Jack stared at her robotic legs. And you saved me. She nodded again. You saved me first. Far above, a spy drone recorded everything, the fire, the running, the teamwork. In the guild's chamber. Silence reigned. Then, one elder said, She's not a symbol anymore. No, another replied. She's a threat. That night, Jack and Valari camped under a broken bridge. He lay sleeping beside the fire, his wound wrapped. Valari stood guard, one hand on a broken metal pipe like a weapon. She looked at the stars. She wasn't a broken girl in a chair anymore. She was a runner, a survivor. In now, a protector. The courtroom was silent. Rows of elite aliens sat in perfect lines. Their robes shimmered. Their faces were cold. Cameras hovered in the air, recording everything. Today was not just another hearing. Today was about Valari, but no one expected her to show up, certainly not like this. The large doors creaked open, heads turned. And then gasps filled the room. Tall figure walked down the marble floor, her long coat flowing behind her. No hover chair. No crutches. Just two robotic legs that gleamed in the light with every step. Valari. Walking. Alive. Change. Some stood in shock. Others leaned in to whisper. Guild leaders at the front of the court blinked as if they were seeing a ghost. One of them muttered, Impossible. Valari kept walking, her steps slow and firm. Her boots echoed in the chamber like drums of war. She reached the center and stopped. And then, she turned, facing everyone. I was told I would never stand again, she said. Her voice calm but clear. I was told my value ended the day I lost my legs. No one interrupted. I waited 10 years for hope, for help, for anything. She looked directly at the guild. But you only offered silence. The judge, a gray-skinned elder with glowing eyes, leaned forward. You were not invited to speak today, he said coldly. Valari smiled. I didn't come to speak, she said. I came to show you what truth looks like. And she took another step, and another, until she stood directly in front of the guild's leader. The cameras zoomed in. The whole planet was watching, and the truth could not be hidden anymore. Behind her, a door opened quietly. Jack stepped in. His arm was still wrapped from the last battle, but his face was calm. He held a small device in his hand. The courtroom lights flickered. The screens above changed. A recording played. Valari's first scan, her first step, the moment she ran through. Fire. The world saw it all, what the guild tried to bury. No tricks, Jack said to the court. No magic, just engineering, just effort, just care. One guild official stood up. This is illegal human interference. Valari faced him. Is it illegal to give someone a life back? Silence. Then another elder rose. If we allowed this, every broken soldier would demand restoration. There would be chaos. Valari didn't blink. You fear chaos. But what you really fear is change. A young voice cried out from the crowd. She walks like the rest of us. Everyone turned. It was a boy, an alien child in a small hover chair. His mother tried to hush him, but he rolled forward. Valari smiled at him. Do you want to walk too? She asked gently. He nodded fast. Jack stepped forward. We can help him. And others like him. All we need is permission to share what we've built. The guild leader slammed his fist. Denied. Gasps, shock, Even the judge flinched. The elder's voice shook with rage. This is a threat to order, to tradition, to Vilari stepped closer to him, to your power. She said, and then she did something no one expected. She turned her back to the guild and knelt in the center of the courtroom. Her robotic knees touched the floor with a soft click. She bowed her head to the people. I do not want to rule. I do not want revenge, she said. I just want others to stand like me. Slowly the room began to change. One elder removed his robe and stepped down from the platform. I vote in her favor. Then another, and another. The judge's voice rang out. The guild's hold is broken. The court recognizes this act as a gift, not a crime. Cheers. Cameras flashed. Vel ar. I slowly stood again. This time, tears touched her eyes. Not from pain, from victory. Outside, the people waited. Thousands. When Vilari stepped into the sunlight, they saw her not as a broken soldier, but as a new legend. Far away, in a secret tower, the guild's surviving. Leaders watched the broadcast in silence. She's a symbol now, one said. No, the elder leader replied darkly. She's a spark, and sparks become fire. Back in the crowd, Jack leaned close to Vilari. You okay? He asked. She smiled. I stood for myself, she whispered. Now I'll stand for them. The world had changed. It didn't happen overnight. Not with fireworks. Not with an explosion. It started with a single step. And now, thousands were following. Vilari stood beneath a massive steel archway, surrounded by workers, builders, and engineers from many species. Children ran across the training yard. Soldiers trained in the distance. And beside them, dozens of people, young and old, wore robotic limbs. Some were walking for the first time, others were learning to run. And at the center of it all stood Vilari, once forgotten, once left in a chair, now a leader. A new sign was being lifted into place behind her. Project Second Step. Beneath it, smaller words were carved, for those who were told they never could. Jack stood beside her, brushing dust from his jacket. You ready for the speech? He asked. Vilari smiled softly. Still hate talking. But they're here because of you, he said. No, she replied. They're here because they finally believed someone could care. She looked out across the open field, and she began walking toward the platform. Cameras hovered overhead. News channels from 5 systems were watching live. On the stage, Vilari took the mic. She looked out at thousands of faces, some curious, some inspired, many broken. But not hopeless anymore. I was not born strong. She began. I became strong when I had nothing left except a choice. She paused, her hands steady. For 10 years, I was told my life was over, that I was a burden, that I should sit quietly and be thankful for scraps. She looked over the crowd, but then one person, a human, offered me something no one else did. She turned toward Jack. He offered effort. He offered time. He offered belief. The crowd clapped. Some stood. Others wiped their eyes. Vilari continued. I walk now. But this project is not just about legs. It's about letting people rise. Stand. Try again. Her voice grew stronger. We are building limbs, yes, but more than that. We are building freedom. At the back of the crowd, the small alien boy from the courtroom sat in a new chair, this one mechanical, with custom supports. His mother helped him press a button. His legs twitched, then moved. The boy stood slowly. He took 2 steps. The crowd roared. Vilari's voice cracked, slightly as she looked at him. That's why we fight. That's why we rise. And we're just getting started. She stepped back and the crowd chanted her name. Not the girl in the chair. Not the broken one. Just Vilari. Later, under a quiet sky, Vilari and Jack sat outside the main building. Workers celebrated inside. Music played in the distance. Jack handed her a small wrapped box. What's this? She asked. Open it. She unwrapped it slowly. Inside was a pair of boots made for her. Robotic legs, lightweight, beautiful, with her name stitched inside. I thought heroes needed better shoes, Jack said, grinning. Valari shook her head. I'm not a hero, Jack looked at her. You gave people their lives back. You gave me a reason to keep going. She blinked slowly, holding back emotion. I just didn't want anyone else to feel what I felt. They sat in silence for a while. Then Valari asked, Do you ever think it'll all fall apart again? Jack looked up at the stars. Maybe, he said, but if it does, we'll rebuild it. One step at a time, she smiled. Together, always. Far across the galaxy, the last of the guild's secret leaders watched the rise of Project Second Step. One of them slammed his cane to the floor. She was nothing. A cripple, a failed soldier. Another whispered, Now she's a flag, a fire. What do we do? Asked the third. The old leader leaned forward, his voice dry and sharp. You don't kill a flame like this with force. You bury it in silence. Slowly. But he was wrong, because this flame had already spread. Valari's story became song, then statue, then movement. And wherever someone sat in the dark, thinking they had no worth, they whispered her name. And tried. Just one more time, asterisk.